Chatting with Jack Redlick, head coach of the St. Albert Raiders U18 AAA squad in the AEHL. Jack, obviously not the full season we were all hoping for this year, but your team did manage to get 6 games in. What did you see from your team during those games that you played?
Thanks, Troy, for having me on for starters. But challenging year, but we remained optimistic, and we still do remain optimistic in regards to the development of our guys. So we were one of the fortunate teams in our league to be able to play every single game that was scheduled for us leading up to the shutdown. Unlike some of the other teams that, like we were talking about, Leduc unfortunately only got into 1 game. So I felt for Ryan Reckner and those guys in Leduc. So we were fortunate enough that we were able to play our maximum amount of games, although different circumstances and routine leading up to it. But we were happy with our group. They remained positive kind of throughout the entire process, and flexible, I guess, is the biggest thing. So we know with hockey players, their routines and their superstitions and things like that, we're definitely challenged this year. But more or less, I would say gratitude would probably be the biggest thing. Is our guys are grateful for just being able to be on the ice, and we kind of emphasize that to our group as well. And it was easy to play from that cliche this year of treat every game like it's your last. And that was kind of a theme throughout because we never knew when it might end. So we had some inclination, or I guess not much of a heads up, but kind of had a feeling that our 6th game might be our last game for a while. And we expressed that to our boys and to kind of live in the moment and just relish it. And we felt they did that for sure.
Now, unfortunately, the league ended after 6 games for you guys, but a lot of your players, that wasn't the end to their season. Some have gone on to play with other teams, and other guys still managed to line up gigs for next year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, just because technically the on-ice portion came to a halt and our season didn't necessarily came to a halt. And so it pushed us to kind of move outside the box and get creative in regards to how can we continue to further our players' development. So we did that through some of the online Zoom workouts and yoga, and we did our one-on-one meetings and video sessions with our players to recap over the games and their analytics that from the 6 games that we had played already throughout the year. And then it transitioned into trying to see some growth and development in regards to the mental aspects of the game. And so we were very spoiled in regards to some of our Zoom presenters. Our alumni helped us out. And so we had guests like Jamie Compton, Mike Babcock, Gabe Landeskog, Mark Stahl, Ryan Reeves, a lot of big names, Colin Parenko, an ex-Raider himself as well. And so they got to have real candid conversations with those players and those coaches and kind of get tapped into the pro side of the game and see the growth from them on that part. And we would debrief it as a team afterwards. And then from a coaching front, it was time to promote and kind of develop our players and expose them to the junior ranks to still try to get them that opportunity to continue on, especially for our 03 group. And so with the work of Instat this year was probably the best investment that we had. We were able to have individual clips that we were able to send out to teams. And fortunately, obviously, from the hard work from our players and being able to showcase themselves in that very small sample size, we were able to line up already so far. 14 guys are committed for next year to go to junior teams. We'll continue to work to try to get the remainder players an opportunity. But we have 6 guys who are signed and committed, 14 guys who are signed and committed. And then obviously with the AJHL and the Western Hockey League firing up here, we actually had 9 guys move on to junior just through this season. So we had to backfill a little bit from within our own association to still have quality skates. But that just presents more of an opportunity for those guys who are coming up and ingrain them into our culture leading into next year.
That's outstanding. Great to hear so many of your guys are still getting an opportunity to play this year and then commit to junior teams overall. That's outstanding stuff. I believe this is your 3rd year with the St. Albert program.
This sort of my 5th. So
okay.
I coached in Drain Valley Junior A for 4 years.
Right.
And then I came for the 16-17 season. I took over the team, coached them for 3 years.
Okay.
Had an unfortunate accident away from the rink last year, so I took up a coach mentorship role within the Raiders program, and then I'm back behind the bench again this year. So
Okay, back and at 'em. But having been with this same program for several years, obviously you're enjoying it. What's been the most rewarding part of working with this St. Albert program for that many years already?
Um, Actually, I enjoy it a lot more than I thought I was going to from the very beginning. So coming from junior A and coming back to midget AAA at the time and U18 AAA now, it's a really, really fun group to coach. And so because they're mature enough and they're developed enough within their game that you can be very detailed, and more or less we run our team like a junior program to try to expose them to that level, so there is no shock and awe when they do move on to junior, and they've seen these things, they've done these things in regards to their preparation and the information that's given to them and the expectations as well. What you get at this program is there's still that light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of fire in the individuals, and there's still a lot of dreams there, right? And so the passion and the attention and the drive that you get from your players and the commitment level at U18 AAA is tremendous. And that's very intriguing for a coach because obviously we're passionate and invested, and our players exceed even our passion level, investment level, because they want to move on. So, yeah.
With the evolution of the Alberta Elite Hockey League these past couple of years, how have you seen that model sort of help in that process and, help when it comes to player development?
The level of professionalism and the appearance of that has increased for sure. Don't get me wrong, like the AMHL, the Alberta Midget Hockey League, it's one of the premier leagues in all of Canada, and the work that Bobby Olnick has done for the scholarship program coming out of the league and the opportunity that's presented to the players was tremendous. This transition into the Alberta Elite Hockey League is kind of brought a more professional approach to it in regards to the exposure and the marketing side of things. So we're getting everybody under the same umbrella, from the U18, the U16s, and the U15s. And so they're part of the same, and it's very clear in regards to what is the elite level kind of as you work throughout the Alberta program, and that is the AEHL. And so the implementation of obviously Hockey TV this year and the cooperation with Instat is tremendous. Again, exposing our players and our staffs and allowing us to have a much more, I guess, professional approach and the ability to prepare these guys for obviously the elite stream, but moving on to junior and then beyond that. So.
Now, coaching involves some tough decisions, and sometimes those decisions involve family members, as it turns out, because even your son is not immune to some of the tough decisions that a coach has to make sometimes. Tell us about that situation that came up last year.
Yeah, I mean, blunt and ruthless, I guess you could say. So, no, I had my son who is a 15-year-old try out for my team this year, and it's accountability is literally on the wall in our dress room, and so we practice what we preach. And so once we get into the rink, I'm coach. It's no longer dad, and he's just like any other player. He needs to earn his stripes in his way, and probably even a little bit more so than the next player. And so, yeah, he tried out for my team, and I had the pleasure of cutting him this year, and the process was exactly the same. So into the coach's office he came and sat him down, and I just said, what's about to happen, right? And he goes, oh, yeah. And so we debriefed his camp, and down he went to the U15 AAA team, the U16 AAA team to continue to trial for them. I mean, we're a family, and I say to my players all the time, and we practice what we preach as well, is in order to develop, you got to play at the highest level you can, where you're going to get the most quality minutes, and that's where you're going to develop the most. And so you really need to check your ego aside, because it's the end goal approach, right? And so if you're getting to that level where you're going to get those quality minutes, you're going to supersede than if you are able to make my team a U18 AAA. Sure, you get the ego side of it and I guess the bragging rights, but if you're not playing much, then you're not developing much. In the end, that's not good for you in the long run.
Certainly, if nothing else, a great way to show every player in the system that everyone's on the same page, regardless of their bloodline. So, and I'm sure that he had a heck of a season, or was on his way to a heck of a season at U16 AAA. So he'll be knocking at that door again in the future, no doubt. Hey, when it comes to your development as a coach, who are some of the guys that have mentored you along the way?
You know what, I'd say probably the two that I talk to probably the most, or I reach out to. It's Fran Gao. So Fran was my coach actually when I came back my 20-year-old year from Major Junior, and he was coaching up in Grand Prairie, and we were hosting the Royal Bank Cup, the national championship. And so I got to play for him, got to win an Alberta championship with him up there. And so that started that relationship, and obviously kept in touch with Fran, and that's where my coaching career started out in Drain Valley when Fran was the head coach out there. And so he gave me my first kind of kick at the can. And so he's definitely my Yoda, you could say, that I'll call him to bounce stuff off of. And half the time he's asking me questions back and I'm answering my own questions, but he's a great resource. And then the other one is Wally Kozak. And Wally's an absolute legend in the sport, especially at the high performance level. He's a very, very wise man. And so I enjoy our conversations with him. And he still surprises me when we're down in Calgary. All of a sudden, he'll pop by the rink and he's watching one of our games. We saw him at the Max there, and he'd give you a few pointers and things like that. But anyone who was a coach mentor for Pat Quinn and Mike Babcock at the Olympics, you should probably listen to. So that history with Wally started at my High Performance 1 course. I was fortunate enough that he came to volunteer, and I ended up being part of his group that he was in charge of, and it started a great relationship that way. So both very good men. But the other side of it too, though, is, to be honest with you, I think the days are gone in regards to whether it's coaches or operators of keeping their cards close to their chest and their secrets. And so I'll reach out, and I have conversations with all sorts of head coaches, both in our league and at junior, and you bounce ideas off one another and you talk about different situations. And so it's really good to see the fraternity of coaches kind of leaning on one another. And I think that's part of even the benefits of the AEHL, is it's going to connect guys all the way down from the U15 AAA teams through to the U16s and the U18s. And the more we can talk and communicate and share ideas, the better off the kids are, because they're going to increase their development side.
Well, certainly during the crazy times such as this, we're all in it together, sort of thing. So it's really cool to hear that you guys, as coaches, even as competitors within the league itself, are sharing resources and sharing knowledge to, keep things moving forward and develop yourselves and the players as you move along. One last one for you. Your day job, you're a member of the Edmonton Police Force, and as you were telling me a little bit earlier off mic, quite a bit of overlap between the day job and the coaching job that all kind of come together, and pretty neat to hear how you're able to sort of trade off certain things you do between one job and the next to kind of push both forward, as it were.
Yeah, right now I'm working in our recruit training unit, in charge of the scenario program. So it's the same thing. It's funny because you're teaching here, you're developing people so that they can be the best at their profession. And it's the same thing when we go to the rink. In fact, it correlates so much that on some of our debrief days from our scenarios, we incorporate video and stuff. And so I'll cut the video and we'll do our debrief sessions and we'll walk through. And when we're talking about whether it's officer safety or positioning and triangulation or things like that. And so we're cutting, walking through video in class. And then I head over to the rink after work, and we're doing a video session with the players, and we're talking about positioning, triangulation on our forecheck or whatever it is. And so there's a lot of similarities. But I think the biggest thing is right now we got a class of 30 in here, and on a team this year we had 22, but traditionally you have 20 players, and that's 20 individuals with 20 different upbringings, 20 different families, 20 different qualities that they bring to the table, and I guess 20 different problems that they may have in their life as well. And so really being able to get to know the people and the individual. And when you get to know the people and the individual, and they learn that you have their best interest in heart, then all of a sudden you get buy-in from them. And it's no different than with a hockey team, fostering those relationships with players. As soon as they know that they can trust you and that you're there to look out for their best interest, and all of a sudden you can really see their progression grow from leaps and bounds. It's the same thing with the recruit side here at work. So.
That's outstanding. It's great to hear that, how it all kind of comes together that way. Hey, Jack, really appreciate you taking time to do this. Thanks very much. And all the best for continued success as you move forward in your coaching career and working with those young players in St. Albert.
Anytime. Take care. Thanks, Troy.